Hey everybody, Eric for President here. We have a wide range of very important and big topics to go over today, so feel free to check out the chapter slider. That way you can view the stories that you want the most. But of course, we need to start with the release date, now known for Onward on the Oculus Quest. It is absolutely sooner than I expected, which is great to hear. I'm very excited. And I think if this port is really fun, really good, and done well, it's going to be very telling of future ports down the road as well. For those who are not familiar with Onward though, Onward is a modern military simulator. Picture the SOCOM of VR with both single player and cooperative modes, with the main focus being its 10-player multiplayer gameplay. It will feature full crossplay support with PC VR versions and will launch on July 30th for $24.99. I do want to stress that Onward's community is one of the most endearing that I know of in the VR community, consisting of a very solid player base who are also very welcoming to newer players, and the development team behind Onward is the one leading the charge on creating that community of choice. Being the first, and for the time being, only competitive shooter on the official Oculus Quest store, this is very big for the Oculus Quest platform, and July is going to be a very busy month finding time for all the quality releases coming. When it comes to the Oculus Quest port, I am most interested in seeing if there are any occlusion issues, especially when using two-handed weapons and scopes. That's when I find the most issues on the Oculus Quest. And I'm also interested to see the draw distance on the Oculus Quest in this version, how far you can see in the distance, which matters greatly for long strategic shots. Specifically in Onward is something that you will be doing quite a bit, and I'm very interested to see how they tackle this issue, how they make it work, and I'm very optimistic. My gut says they're gonna nail it. This port goes over very well, it's adopted, and it's just a great experience. I think developers who are hesitant to take their PC VR content and go through the trouble, the very hard trouble, of porting that over to the Oculus Quest may be encouraged by this. I'm very excited for Onward. It is going to be a must play on my list. Let me know your thoughts. Moving on though, let's talk a big Facebook flex, a big prototype that is basically everywhere. There's probably no way that you've missed it, but I cannot stress enough the word prototype here. Prototype, not product, but it is still a very big deal. And here is that prototype that I'm talking about that you've probably seen everywhere. What you see here though is not full 6 degrees of freedom VR. Hell, it's not even 3 degrees of freedom. It has no cameras or tracking, no power source, but that's not the point. It's a show of power, of how small Facebook thinks that they can go eventually, something that is very important and cannot be ignored. Right now, of course, headsets use bulky lenses that limits how small a headset really can be. Personally, I am okay with the form factor of how head-mounted displays are. However, I'm biased. I'm a VR enthusiast, and I understand fully that for this to be adopted more regularly, it needs to be smaller, easier to use, and the fashion forward has to be there because the product needs to be usable in public, and people are very sensitive to those issues. This flex by Facebook shows instead of traditional OLED or LCD lenses, instead they show holographic lenses, ditching of course traditional lenses and the drawbacks of them like God rays and many other distortions. This holographic optic can hit a little above 90 degrees field of view, which is similar to the Oculus Rift S, a resolution of 1600 by 1200 per eye, and virtually no screen door effect. This display though is monochrome though, but full color range is something Facebook says they can do. This is likely nothing that we will see for a long time, and what we see here in the prototype may not be reflective or indicative of any product to come from Facebook on how it will look, but it's important nonetheless. VR headsets need in the future, regardless of my biased thoughts and my VR enthusiast expectations, they need to be smaller. They need to be easier to use, easier to travel with, socially acceptable, fashion forward types of headsets that people are willing to use anywhere and anytime. It is very important that that's where we go to in the future for VR really to succeed. If any new gear or anything smaller is coming, hopefully we'll find something out possibly at the next Oculus Connect, but I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Before getting into the headline of today's video, the story that I'm most excited about, of course we need to talk about the current Oculus Quest Update 18.0 that is rolling out, and here's the quick TLDR of not everything, but my favorite parts of the update. I will link the full update notes in the video description. The first major update is to the user interface, designed to streamline usability and improve the VR discoverability of games and experiences. This universal menu will be accessible as an overlay in a number of Quest apps, and this again just works on making the Oculus Quest a more synergetic console, making the experience as good as possible. Two small tweaks but welcome changes are one to the Guardian settings, which now have a few options for different colors because variety is the spice of life, and the keyboard thankfully will also now use predictive text to make VR typing more efficient and easier. And lastly, at least to all English users, I really like to see voice command beta now being more widely accessible and additions of what you can do with it, like taking a screenshot by command, casting with a simple start casting phrase, and even able to be turning off the headset with just your voice. It's really fun, neat accessibility. As with every Oculus Quest update, I say this every time, I'm a broken record, it rolls out over time. Just because your friend has it doesn't mean you will. I'd encourage you to keep your Oculus Quest plugged in and charging, connected to Wi-Fi, automatic updates turned on. That's your quickest way. In addition, you can check the settings tab to update manually. And of course, I know everyone brings this up every time, you can find possibly the APK for the update and sideload it. However, I can never keep up with the technical problem questions that arise from it, so please Google if you're interested in that. In my absolute favorite story today though, we need to talk about Dreams getting VR support and why. For those paying attention and thinking it's a big deal, they're right in my opinion. And for those sleeping on this or not fully grasping the potential, I think you should really start paying attention to this. We talk quite a bit about Apple possibly eventually getting into AR, VR, whatever. We also talk about Oculus, of course, dominating the news cycle most of the time, and deservingly so. They have the most going on. However, a lot of people want options. They want competitors. And Sony is continuously showing that the PSVR and likely the PSVR 2 vote with your wallet, because that's where the competition is. For those not familiar with Dreams, it is an ever-expanding game universe filled with endless community-made games from around the world. Music, games, painting, animation, there's just a lot of possibilities here, and this is just a pure content engine. I encourage you to scour through YouTube and see what some have created on the PS4 in just days. It's honestly amazing, and on July 22nd, Dreams will be getting a free update providing VR support for PSVR. According to a PlayStation blog post, we can expect VR tutorials, comfort options, how-tos, and every kit needed under the sun for creating amazing VR content. This is of course huge for the PSVR, but it's likely, if scalable and works with the PSVR 2, even more power and abilities to make amazing VR content. In fact, DreamsVR to me has the ability to rival SideQuest and be a platform completely run and managed by the VR community, providing amazing content for everyone to use. What content gets made in DreamsVR could be a litmus test for what the consumers want and what they enjoy, and developers can use all this information to learn consumer habits, what they enjoy, what type of VR content interests them, the mechanics. There is so much value not only to the consumer, but to developers looking at what's being made to learn what they should possibly work on. Voting with my wallet is about the only power I have in many situations. Corporations are too large, my voice will never get heard, but at least I can vote with my wallet, and I'm always looking for competitors. With DreamsVR on the PSVR, Sony is again just upping the ante on being that competitor, and I think I slept on PSVR for sure for too long, and it's definitely on my radar. I'm looking forward and probably will get the PSVR 2 when it comes out, but this is a big deal. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. But that is the end of today's video. If you did enjoy it, please leave a like, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon. That way you do not miss an upload when notifications do not go out. And as always, I'll see you in the next one, Space Cowboys.